Thank you for tuning in to the Spotburn Podcast, brought to you by Musky Fool. Join your hosts, Dan and Josh, as we ignite the hottest topics in fly fishing, answer your burning questions, and get fired up about our love for the great outdoors. Now let's get burning. We hope you enjoy the show.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Spotburn Podcast, episode 38 specifically. We got a fun episode for you. We got a massive fly roast, and I want to let everyone know that we brought our good buddy Gabe Park in for this fly roast.
Hey, folks.
He said we were being too nice on everyone, so we needed to level it up a little bit.
He listened to the last one and he said we're still being too nice. So we're like, okay,
we gotta
come show us.
We got to roast them, and I'm going to submit a fly, and I hope you guys do the same.
Yes, I've already been roasted. I have more to be roasted, but I guess
I just want the free
apologies
sticker
to these 5, because if you have already been roasted, you got off easy.
Yeah,
this is the real deal.
We'll see.
And I know it's the real deal because today, before this podcast, we actually made the wall of fame and the wall of shame.
There it is.
There's the wall of fame. There's nothing on the wall of shame. Will today be the day?
Did we decide to change the rules?
We are. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Okay.
But why we're doing this, first, it's because you asked for it. People have been loving the fly roast. And 2, we have a couple episodes coming up that are real deep interviews with special guests. We did not do fly roasts on them. So we're going to just pack it all. We're calling this one the Mega Fly Roast.
The Mega Fly.
We have 5. And we brought the man himself, Gabe Park. We're excited.
Heck yeah.
How you been, buddy? It's been a minute since you were on the pod.
It has been a minute. I stuck my finger through the old podcast set and poked at you guys while you were filming.
did?
One time. That was the last time I was on.
Yeah.
Just my finger.
His glory hole cameo.
If you can find the episode that Gabe glory holed us on, you get a fly roast sticker.
I'll tie you a glider.
Yeah. You heard the man.
Fly roast sticker.
What else been going on? You been able to fish? How's the little one? How's life?
Yeah, it's good. Busy as ever, but I've been doing some trout fishing. Yeah, now that we're past the infant, 2-month-old stage, it's a little easier for me to sneak out of the house and caught a few pretty nice fish.
You got a fishing report for us so far this season?
I've really just been throwing streamers. Talking to the musky guys, I've been actually you saw the little mini gliders I've been tying. I've been tying some
beep that shit out, man.
5-6 inch musky flies that I'm trying to catch a trout on. So productivity has been a little low, but it's going to happen eventually.
I've been very excited to watch the Gabe Park go back down the rabbit hole of fly tying. Not that you didn't, but I feel like
I took a break.
We all had to.
Yeah.
I did as a dad and starting the shop, and I've seen your little creative spark rekindle.
Well, that's when I don't have time to tie, I have plenty of time to lay in bed and think about stuff and how to tie it. So
he's got some wild shit.
I've had some ideas rolling around my brain, and now I have time to try to build them. So
love it.
Couple cool ones. But
you had quite an interesting fishing experience the other day.
Yeah, just the other night, Monday night, 4 days ago, I decided to go hunt for a big one. And was throwing around. It was actually a triple menage dungeon. Fished from 8 p.m. to midnight. Fished for 2 or 3 hours and no luck, and finally got to this really one of my favorite holes on this stretch river that I was fishing, and swinging out the tail out, really where a big brown trout should be. And I go tight. And it was kind of tight where it's this is the fit. No, head shakes, rod doubled over, pulled out line. I was fighting it on the reel. So I thought I did it. I thought I hooked the fish. I'm starting to freak out. And eventually something gets wrapped around a log. I start pulling on it, and it's stuck on something, and I pull it tight and feel it, and I'm like, man, there's still something attached to this. It's just wrapped around a log. So,
this is pitch black, right?
Pitch black. It's 11:15 at night.
Okay.
Really not a whole lot of moon out either. Some stars and whatever, but it's dark. All I had was a flashlight that probably needed new batteries.
Perfect.
And so I assume that I've hooked onto the, inland driftless brown trout of a lifetime. And so I have no problem jumping into the creek after this fish, and wade in up to over my waist, probably belly button area, and feel my leader and try to, reach down to get it around this log. And I do. pop the leader off. My face, because I'm bent over, is about, I don't know, 8 inches from the surface of the water. And this fish comes up and it has teeth and fur. And a muskrat tail. And so, I snagged a muskrat with a menage dungeon at 11:30 at night, and we almost kissed.
Oh,
yeah.
my!
I mean, my face was 6 inches, 8 inches from the water, and this muskrat came out directly in front of my face. We made eye contact. I screamed. It internally screamed clearly. And
you thought it was a fish. He thought you were a female muskrat. And he was like,
and so I screamed like a little girl. Let the thing swim to shore. Luckily, it was exhausted because it was underwater, and I'd been fighting it for 5 minutes. So it swam to shore and just basically gave up and laid there and panted. And I had felt really bad for the thing and didn't want to leave a menage dungeon in its tail. So I covered it with my fish pond Nomad emerger net and took my pliers and popped the fly off and let it crawl off and sat on the bank and had a moment to myself.
Wild. You guys just staring at each other.
Yeah, I was like,
oh my God.
and it wasn't over. What'd you catch?
No, and then I was like, all right, well, it's not over yet. I still have some time. Baby's asleep. I don't have to be home. And proceeded to snag a small catfish. And then that was kind of it. And I decided to call it a night and go home.
Appropriately so. But honestly, if you're listening to this, I told Gabe, I was like, I don't think I've ever heard of anybody who's caught a muskrat and a catfish on a trout stream in the same day.
Yeah. So it was a very eventful night, and it was a lot of fun, but
not what you're looking for.
Not what I was looking for. Yeah. So good story.
Good story.
The driftless biathlon.
So yeah, I'll get that Ruffy Brown next time.
On another note, we were talking about this earlier today on ridiculous things. 100-inch muskies. Did you heard about this on the Kelly Gallup? We had someone message it, and you had brought it up.
Yeah. I mean, I've been listening to the Kelly Gallup podcast. I think there's an incredible wealth of knowledge in that podcast, and I've learned a lot and enjoyed a lot. And it makes me feel like I'm not alone. And part of the reason I've been inspired to go through menage dungeons at 11 o'clock at night, but when he said the thing about 100-inch muskies, I was like, cool, should I believe anything else in this podcast? Because that's just so far from truth. It's impossible. I mean, it's impossible.
Yeah, there's you could probably sit here and I could have a real conversation with you about a 75-inch muskie.
No,
it still is like kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
even your reaction.
No.
70, 65 inch. Like we're talking ridiculous.
Yes. Yeah.
So the level of which the magnitude of ridiculousness around 100-inch muskie is like
silliness.
I mean, that is 2 times what we consider to be the big muskies.
I mean, just to like put it in the equivalency of trout talk, in that podcast, they talk about the 30-inch benchmark for trout. That would be like me saying I caught a 60-inch brown trout.
That isn't a taimen.
Yes. Brown trout.
Yeah.
Because it's like a 50-inch muskie is the benchmark for most folks. You hit the 50 number. 30 is
100-inch sturgeon. Or if anyone.
No, I mean, what is 6 feet? I'm 72 inches.
Yeah.
So the muskie would be.
It's a shark.
28 inches taller than me.
Yeah. Kelly Gallup saw a shark in the water. That's what he thought.
Yeah. So pretty comical. Love Kelly. But yeah, I guess never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Yeah, but also like if you got a lead on a 100-inch muskie, Kelly, like
hit us up.
Apparently, it's an inland lake in Michigan.
Just holler at us. Just come on, give us a breadcrumb or something. Yeah. We'll return the favor. We'll send you bucktail and till you're. We'll send you a lifetime of fucking bucktail if you tell us where this fish is. Yeah. So while we just shit on you for the ridiculous story, I'm also like, but like where?
Yeah,
like, tell me where.
Could be true, I suppose.
Yeah. All right. Fly roast.
Let's roast some flies.
Let's roast them.
Before we get into it, though, Gabe has proposed and passed in Congress a new rule. So we've had a heavy legislative session here at the Fly Roast. And Gabe, the Speaker of the House, I don't know where the fuck I'm going with this, has proposed a new rule. So previous to this, Josh and I set a rule that in order to make it on the Wall of Fame, you needed 1 vote to get onto the Wall of Fame. So that means literally if Gabe said fuck no Wall of Shame, Josh says fuck no Wall of Shame, but I say Wall of Fame, you're in. You've made it. Gabe has proposed a new rule, which we are going to put into effect now into the future, which is that in order to get on the Wall of Fame, you need unanimous Wall of Fame votes.
I think so. I mean, that's how most competitions work. You know, it's like American Idol, dude.
The stakes are getting higher.
Yeah.
We have yet to determine what happens if you get 2 Wall of Fames, 1 Wall of Shame. You kind of hit some like purgatory state. But I think what we're going to, maybe we'll let that one play out and maybe we'll fish those flies and see what,
maybe we could change our, change.
Because it doesn't feel like they should be on the Wall of Shame. But
less, I know what you mean.
There's like now we have purgatory and that gets weird. And but
we'll bring it back to the.
We'll bring it back to that.
We'll bring it back to the board. And
but you need a full unanimous Wall of Fame to make it through.
I think so.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you still get a sticker for participating.
Totally.
We're still gonna give you credit, but I think we want to raise the stakes a little bit.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
Are you on board with that?
I'm on board.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
The
fly roast.
What's in the box? We don't really know. Hooks, feathers, fur, some highs, some lows. Dan and Josh are here to see if this flies fire or pure comedy. Welcome to the Fly Roast.
Warning. We are not liable for anything we say in the fly roast. Usually, recording is an out-of-body experience, so forget everything we're about to say.
The Fly Roast. This is our 4th Fly Roast. Yes?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
4th fly roast.
4th Fly Roast.
Yeah.
We got 5 flies today. Gabe, do us the honors.
Pick
Just
one open.
pick one open.
All right, let's start.
Well,
with this
Gabe's
one.
opening one. I'm going to just remind everyone what we will be grading our flies on. The 5 criteria items: instant gut check, techniques and materials, where and how, one change we have, and then, of course, the Hall of Fame Wall of Shame.
And while Gabe is opening, I will read what we got. All right, this submission is from Christian Flanders. We have a simple articulated streamer. So this is the tell us about your fly. 6-aught hook in rear, 2-aught hook in front, reverse tied bucktail, blended nightmare flash and fiber. We're so far so good. I like all that stuff. Your fly's name is the Schlappen Chinese Hackle Bucktail. I think we can work on the naming there, but materials used, flash and fiber, deer belly. Oh, that's the, never mind. That's not the name. There is no name, so we get to assign a name. But the materials used, Schlappen Chinese Hackle Bucktail, flash and fiber, deer belly, and Airex hooks. Christian, thank you for the submission.
Thanks for submitting.
Gabe's first reaction.
My first reaction is the hooks are backwards.
Did he say 2-aught in front?
2-aught in front, 6-aught in the back. That front hook just feels small, and you've got the spun deer hair head kind of covering that hook gap. So, yeah,
Conventional wisdom says go bigger in front.
Go bigger or cut the hook off and make it a shake. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me see it.
Yeah, pass it around.
And we'll do a little show. We'll do a show and tell. I'm just going to hold it up for everybody.
Any other instant gut checks, Gabe?
Instant gut check. I think the head could use a little work as far as like a fly tying skill perspective or, aspect. But for fishing, totally fine. It's not going to affect the way it fishes, but it's just, it could use a little better trimming and a little more even bucktail work. Overall, I think it's just a classic sort of style musky fly. It's nothing new and groundbreaking. It's nothing. I don't hate it. You'd easily catch a musky.
I would say my first reaction is unique. Like, it's not necessarily a style that you see. Like, we got these Bufords and T-bones and gliders, and they're identifiable. So I think the head does that too. I think my initial reaction was like this Tale of Two Cities. I love the colors. I love the blending, and the bucktail work, especially on the rear hook, is really solid.
Yep.
You can tell.
I agree with that.
Really solid. With Gabe, the front leaves a little to be desired, but it also might have some weird motion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's where we need to swim them. Like, what's his name?
Christian Flanders.
Christian, if you have a reason that you tie it that way, let us know, because we might be
I love that.
we might be missing something here. But my initial gut reaction is I would have put the 6-aught up front and probably a 4-aught in the back, or
very castable.
hook shank.
Though.
Yep.
Light.
Yeah.
Castable. What about you, Josh? First reactions?
Well, I've been too nice and everyone's called me out on it, so I'm going to be a complete fucking monster here. Overall, the head is very uneven. The top is shaved way down, and then the bottom, he's got an Amish beard going on.
Which might affect keel.
Which is going to affect the keel. It's definitely going to affect the hookup rate here. You got all this bullshit, and they're not going to be able to get to the business end of that hook point. And then, from an aesthetics point of view, it's a real bugger that these pupils don't line up. One of them's facing this way. The other one's facing this way.
He's a graphic designer, folks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, but that's where it comes down to like the fly tying skill.
Correct.
Are the fish going to care? No.
But we're not evaluating it.
Yeah, it's like
we're not fish.
You got to do a little bit of both. You know, you got to make it look pretty so that we want to fish them and we want to be confident. And if you're going to sell them, if your customers want to fish them, but you know,
well, and I think we've also been pretty clear on like what this is about. And I think your feedback, what you were really saying, at least when I heard you say it, and others said it too, like be more harsh, is like be more discerning.
Yeah.
We all know, like deeply, we all know that this fly will absolutely put muskies in the boat.
Yes.
Like without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's got all the raw materials. It depends on the back front hook. You might see that back hook pull out, but at the end of the day, like it's fishable.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well done. But now you're talking about like the art of fly tying. Yeah. And like those little nuances. Yeah, I agree with you. I think you guys are great. Gabe's raising the bar over here.
Line up the eyes, fix the head a little bit, make it a bigger hook up front, unless you have a damn good reason for it. Because if you have a damn good
defend yourself. Defend our thesis.
We haven't been able to fish it, so
we will. Technique and materials. You guys kind of mentioned that. I mean, you're playing to the home fans with the materials.
Black and orange, baby.
Black and orange, flash and fiber, bucktail, slap it. You can't like check. Love. As I mentioned, good bucktail work on the back.
Yep.
I disagree. I think this fly fucking sucks. And I keep asking myself, is Bill Cosby having a garage sale? Because it looks like he lost one of his sweaters.
Josh just did a 180 on the fly roast, everybody.
I love it.
Bam Bam is out.
Christian, I'm giving you so much shit right now. This fly, there is
Don't backpedal. Don't you backpedal.
I'm not backpedaling. Don't do it. Like
Josh is gonna reach out to Christian like separately and be like, I'm just letting you know, I'm so sorry. It was out of body. Blame Gabe.
Everyone has literally said we're too nice. And I was just kind of pulling your chain there. This fly is pretty fucking dope. Again, black and orange. You can't go wrong with that. Proportionally, it's tied pretty well. As you kind of collapse these fibers, you can still see that it's got a lot of nice volume. The tail's not too long. This thing's going to hunt.
You like it because it's black and orange.
There are some tweaks, like constructively, like you guys said, in the fly tying game. Yeah, just be cognizant of those hook sizes and the eye orientation. And maybe the trimming of the head.
Where and how would you fish it? Like I like the question of like when you first touched it, where were you? Like what were you thinking?
I'd fish it on a stained northern Wisconsin river with a Sync 3 fly line on a 10-weight Chippewa River rod.
Look at this guy. He's like, it's like Gabe was meant.
Specific.
It was like Gabe was meant for the fly roast.
Yeah.
It was like his whole life was building towards this moment.
A small river. Like I
agree.
Yeah.
Black and orange, light, it's perfect 10-weight fly.
Yep.
If you can dial this in too, we call them guide flies because there's like flies that are uncastable that are super fishy. And then there are flies that are just really castable. And it's kind of like, I think of it like, why do bucktails get bit more? Well, it's because more people fish them. Yeah. So sometimes a good fly is the one you can cast because it means you're going to fish it more.
Yep.
And then therefore it catches more fish. Totally. So there's got some potential there. Maybe we'll work out the kinks on the head. So one change, if you had to pick one, I think we're kind of in alignment on, well, we might have different ones. My one change would be to probably either defend and tell us why or fix the platform.
Yep.
Yeah, that to me is the most important part. We're trying to catch these fish, not just get them to eat.
Yep. One other quick thing too is I never use wire connections between hook and hook anymore. I used to do it for a long time, and I'd get a season or two out of a fly, and then eventually I'd stick a log or something and pull on it, and that back hook would pop off, and then I have to throw it away. So I've started using shank connections, where you do a shank on top of the front hook with your R-bend sticking out and attach your back hook to that.
Yep.
And those will not fail.
Yeah, I think that's not even like a critique. That's just, we've all learned the hard way.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we've all run away from those wire articulated for sure.
But my quote is prepare for the fish you want to catch, not the one you're probably going to catch. And if you hook a, 56-inch musky, like
on the back hook?
On the back hook on that, I would start to get nervous.
Well, and I get nervous just because you don't know when it fails.
Right.
Could be the next cast.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's no like, check engine light on the fly.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it just fails and then you're fucked.
Yeah.
And some people do like to use these wire connections, and what we've seen is a little bit more robust is doubling up that wire. Like I know Marky Mark does on his urban
that's
flies.
true. Yeah, if you double them up, actually the wire he's using is like, I'm not even sure what wire that is. It looks like 80-pound
Single strand.
That's the real deal. That
Agrees.
Yeah.
Which could be an argument for using a bigger back hook in the back because you have more room in that eyelet to work with.
Well, and there is, I think I said it, Gabe said it, we're all saying it. I agree. If I were doing it and recommending it, swap the hooks around, but there is potentially something for the extra weight in the back. And like, imagine driving a huge boat on a tiny little Prius.
Yeah. And you slam the brakes on the boat to make the truck turn.
The problem I think we're identifying is it might make it swim, but it also could like make it a little weird to get bit and get eaten.
Yep.
All right. Moment of truth. So this is where the rubber meets the road. I believe this fly may have gotten one Hall of Fame vote in past, but now that doesn't matter anymore. It needs 3 Hall of Fame votes.
Man. And so this is where I'm on the spot.
I know, and now you're like, I don't want to be a dick.
Yeah. Because like it's on the right, like you're on the right track. Like, I think
Not the on the right track wall though, Gabe. It's the wall
if we're truly talking about Hall of Fame in like flies where I'm like, oh my God, that is glorious. And I want 6.
Doesn't get your vote.
Doesn't count for me.
Josh, I'm intentionally making you guys go first so I can just be like, my vote doesn't matter.
As I now look at our formal Wall of Fame and kind of see what's up there and get a gauge of what we've roasted so far and critiqued, I would say in my personal life, I know this fly is going to slay and it's going to get the job done all the time. And I would actually love to fish it. But I would agree with Gabe. I think it's a wall of shamer. I think there's some tweaks that Christian could make to level it up and get it on the Wall of Fame.
Yep. Yeah. I'm in agreement with you guys. And I would say the cool thing about the fly roast is your fate is not definite because you can be on the Wall of Shame and
make it to the Wall
of Fame without the fly changing.
Yep.
And that I think is where if season's not open yet, but it will be in about 50 days.
Yep. We're going to fish
and we're going to be fishing them. So who knows? We will report back.
I feel bad for you, buddy. Cause you're technically the first one to not make it on the Wall of Fame.
You're better than some of those flies.
But there's better than some of the ones that are on the Wall of Fame. Yeah. So don't take it personally.
You can take this up with your local representative. This is why it's important to vote. Or you can protest Gabe.
Yeah,
it's pretty much all Gabe's fault.
Sorry, it goes on you, man.
All right, Christian.
We love you, Christian. Thank you so much, buddy.
The submission was awesome. All right, who's up next? Dope. Pick her away, Josh.
Go for it.
All right, here we go, folks.
I love that you made this harder.
Yeah.
Because I'm nervous, and I feel like it's a good nervous energy. Or you're like, I don't want to be a dick.
Oh, what? Oh, my goodness.
Holy shit balls.
Okay, we have
an illegal submission. Alert.
5 flies and a handwritten ransom note.
So I actually know the backstory on this one.
Oh, yeah, you do. I can see who it's from. I think we got to pick one. Well,
they're all the same in different colors.
Oh, they are. Okay.
So the backstory is, which is kind of ironic that I was here for this.
Did you know that was Russ's?
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, Russ didn't tie these. These were given to Russ by a client who said, please fish these for me and tell me if you like them. He tried casting them on his 11 weight and could not. He said he was going to break his arm.
They're the weirdest fucking musky fly
He
I've ever
got
seen.
permission from this guy. I forget the guy's name. He's an older gentleman, probably doesn't listen to podcasts or,
So
but
we're
he
kind
got
of off the
permission.
hook then.
We can roast the shit out.
We can roast.
All right.
We can roast the shit out.
I
of
break these over to the camera.
The only problem is they're kind of rad.
I know. That's I'm like looking at him like, what the fuck did we just
And we
get?
have it with, for me, I mean,
All right, I'll read the note. I'll read the note while Josh is showing them off. This,
fly one.
this is a note written. Hold on. Let me just make sure. Yeah, we don't have an actual submission.
No, but Russ told me to go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But this is a note written to Russ. If you don't know who we're talking about, Gabe, can you give
Russ Peterson, he super awesome, super fishy, musky kid. He's one of my good buddies. He's a banjo player in Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, local Midwestern bluegrass band. And yeah, one of my super good buddies. He actually,
You guys have had some pretty epic musky days together.
we had some super great musky days together. He's been musky fly fishing for, before it was cool. He's been doing it for a really long time, and he taught me a lot as I was like going down the rabbit hole. So props to Russ.
Thanks for the submission, Russ.
Yep.
I'm going to read the note again, but this was written to Russ by the tire. Russ, I wanted to get you some of this new pattern with the hopes that you'd provide a little feedback when we can find time to catch up someday. I'm wondering most about how you feel about casting and swimming. These are all trial flies. Number 1, perch. Fucking love this one, and it's really close to final version. I'm going to try to make brewfly known as the creation of the pattern. 2, sucker pattern, gave it a pitch by the tail to see if it would swim differently. 3, the red-headed articulator, the way I will be tying most of them here on out. The action is awesome. The stub, number 4, looking for the size difference. 5, red and white articulating body, ...
This is probably the stub.
6, yes. 6, the silver shiner, no comments. And then the turquoise and pearl and lime and pearl were the first 2 that were tied.
This one.
Any feedback on style, hook placement would be great to talk about anytime you find time, even when you're driving. Have fun with them, and I'll be tying a boat. I'll be tying a boats in bluegrass again this year, so hope to catch you there for sure. Peace, Dusty.
Yeah.
Dusty, thanks for the indirect fly roast submission. I got to get my hands on one of these.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
So it's like, what do we got here?
it's
Pearl
some
brand
kind of mylar tubing.
It's not body tubing. Is it?
No, it's mylar tubing. I think this is the same style. Like you see this in a lot of saltwater patterns where let's create little bait fish bodies.
like needlefish and stuff.
Yeah. I
I
believe
just
it's
watched a
mylar
movie.
tubing.
I watched a movie last night called Life with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
And it really creeped me out because of this like little alien thing. And these kind of remind me, if anyone knows what I'm talking about, Calvin.
You're talking about.
Yeah, it was just like, I like it, but it's kind of creeping me out.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, let's get into it. I mean, first reactions. What the fuck?
yeah.
Yeah.
I like first reaction is like style points, 10 out of 10. Like innovation, haven't seen anyone do this before. There's not a single musky fly that
I don't
ever
even
seen.
like the idea of it. Not even close to the idea
like
of it.
this is where fly tying and musky fishing, I think, has to like, this is where we need to go is like,
Dude, there's so much blue sky.
there's so much blue sky and there's so many new things to be doing. Is this nailed and is it perfect? Probably not, but it's different and it's not just a Buford and it's not just a bulkhead deceiver and it's not,
But just the ingenuity. I don't know what the ones you guys have, but like the whole front half is not, it's like tied on this little shank that's like stay lock snapped to a hook that's embedded in the tubing. I don't know if yours are like that.
yeah, it's wild.
It's
Let's try
wild.
this.
And then he's got like another shank in the back.
That is crazy.
Oh no, he's got a shank down the middle. He's got a shank.
There's a shank
yeah.
down the middle in one of the, and it might not be a shank, but it's like, it's knottable wire or some kind
Mine is real stiff.
Oh, it is really stiff.
real thick.
and it's
wire.
got like, it looks like aqua chenille or aqua veil, like kind of,
dude.
Yeah.
holy fuck.
Little stack of bucktail up front,
do you-
stack of bucktail and flash in the back. Like, I'd be really curious to see what this does. Like, in my mind, just the way it's designed with the long, rigid shank down the middle, if you gave this a hard strip, it might turn, like, it might act like a glide bait or.
Well, and then like what happens when you start adding weight? Does it do weird like Red October tube things?
Yeah.
How durable is it when a fish eats it?
Yeah, I worry about that front hook only being attached to a little swivel. That swivel, like I'm looking at it right now. This swivel is this one already is open. See that?
Oh yeah.
Open.
Yeah, I definitely would want them to eat the back hook.
Yes.
And what was number 2? Materials and techniques. So like, I think continuing on the theme of holy shit, what the fuck am I even holding? Yeah, dude, innovation. I think it's different. It's new. And it also, I think it doesn't just look like random ass shit for the sake of it. Like, I think you've been able to achieve something that could do something that we don't have in our toolbox.
Like this one, like this little nub thing is kind of crazy. Like I'm imagining this stripping and you get this like,
and the water's going to ploop and plop.
I want to fish them. And I want to fish this really badly, actually.
What else do you have to say about this, Josh?
Man, from an engineering standpoint alone, it's just like the innovation and the way that everything's connected. It's phenomenal. It's so unique. Like none of us have ever seen anything quite like this. In a generation where everything's kind of a permutation off of another pattern, this one stands out. And like you guys said, if this was laid on the top rack of the fly tying bin, everyone would stop and grab it. Yeah. You can't not keep your hands off it.
Yeah. They're cool.
Phenomenal.
Just dude, wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, I want to see what it does.
Yeah, and so my initial reaction, for me, this goes on the Hall of Fame. This is one that I could go fish and be like, immediately wall of shame.
Right, the opposite of Christians.
Like bin appeal, cool. No idea until I
It could be a dumpster fire.
This might have to go immediately to the Hall of Shame after we fish it.
Mm-hmm. So Gabe's already casting his vote. When and where are you thinking? What was the spot to take it to? I was thinking Mad Chain, no
Madison
fucking
Chain,
pressured
Green
fish
Bay.
has ever seen this thing in its life.
It's like a bait.
Well, and those moments where I feel like this we felt like this happened with tentacles, where you just get to put something in front of a fish that it's truly never seen before. Yeah. And it just it just goes crazy. So it's got that potential because it's not the flowing fibers of a fly, but it's not the hardness of a bait.
It's in between.
It's right in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. From a technical tying standpoint too, just everything, proportions, everything is
feels like it
not
might
too
float.
much. There's not too little.
I think it does feel like it might float, and you want to sink it on a sinking line or fish it with a floating line and see if it kind of spooks and does cool stuff. But
what were you going to say?
Ridiculous.
Or did we? You said it. We didn't. Okay.
I'm very amazed. And even if this fly were at the heavy R&D / I'm ready to pitch this to a tying company phase, I still think it's going to push the envelope for fly tying to come.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though showing that to a purist? They don't really know about musky fly fishing, and this is the first. We might have to send these flies to some. I'm Peter Gadd is going to get one of these and be like, hey, we have a submission for the next.
And
my god!
It's not one of those flies too that's just tied for shock value sake either.
No, I think he's trying to engineer something that fishes well and is different.
Yeah, and it's different.
Which for me, I think that's what needs to happen in the musky fly fishing world. We need to come up with new.
It's kind of why we did the fly roast, dude,
and not just bucktail that spun around.
We love bucktail.
I'm guilty of it too.
I am. I am so guilty of it.
Yeah, and I hope that all musky flies continue to have bucktail in them, but there's different things we can do with it. And there's different things we can add, and there's.
One thing I really liked was with bucktail and feathers, which are the core components. It's always tough to have a fully rear hook because the feathers create the distance. Yeah. And we all in the back of our minds know that it's look at every bait. The last thing on every bait is almost a hook. Yeah. For the nipping and and this one's got it. It's got a hook way back
there.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally. So yeah.
Okay. One change.
Maybe just try to incorporate a little bit more weight in there. And I'm a little skeptical on the longevity of all of this tubing. You can make the argument if it catches one muskie, it's done its job.
Agreed.
Yeah, my one change
I think
is
I'm
just
with
the
Gabe.
connection of this hook to the actual fly. That swivel is not strong enough, in my opinion. I would either beef it up with a stronger swivel, or I would buy a Musky Fool split ring shank, and I would hang that hook off of a split ring.
I think I'm right there with you.
Attach it to the Mylar.
Yep. It's that little, and I don't even know what's like else is in here.
It's hard to tell,
but it does look like a little light.
Yeah.
Light on the wire.
Yeah, like I said, prepare for the fish you want to catch, not the one you're probably going to catch.
And
I can't believe we're saying to make this heavier, but that's I think what we're saying.
Yeah. So casting it might suck to cast even with a
two-hander
strap. I have no idea.
But it also shouldn't absorb a lot of water.
Shouldn't. That Mylar tubing will hold a little bit, believe it or not.
Okay.
But yeah.
It almost looks like it's been fished a little, but
Russ did say he tried to fish these and was hurting himself, so he stopped.
That's right.
Yeah.
Moment of truth.
Maybe one other change too is I think some of these have the eagle claw hooks on them. I've used these before. That's how I know.
The red ones.
Yeah, that's what they are. Yeah. And I've had issues with those things getting dull almost immediately. And then when you sharpen them, they just kind of don't do the thing right. So maybe upgrading hook quality too.
Yeah. I think that's good feedback. Moment of truth, gentlemen. Gabe, I'll go first because I went last time.
Yep.
I think for all of the reasons we've stated, innovation, we've never seen anything close to this. It seems like there's some tensionality. We're excited to fish it. Like that's just I'm giving it a Wall of Fame vote, but I'm in Gabe's camp. It's Wall of Fame, but I'm leaving open the possibility that this could very quickly go to the Wall of Shame.
Yep.
Yeah. Bam, bam.
Yep. Wall of Fame, baby.
2 Wall of Fames.
No.
Wall of Fame. Wall of Fame. Wall of Fame.
Oh yeah.
2.
Yeah.
It's up to
I'm
you.
saying Wall of Fame.
Wall of Fame?
Yeah, I think they're awesome. I'm
There you
excited
go.
about them.
Unanimous Wall of Fame.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dusty. Thanks, Ross.
Yep.
Thank you, Dusty
boys.
and Russ. Love it. All right, number 3.
Number 3, Dan's turn.
Wild.
They try to. Oh, we're past 6 o'clock. Damn.
Here, I'll give you guys one of these while I open.
Well, Daniel is opening the package within a package.
We're going to give a big shout out to Lydia Park for letting Gabe stay with us. After
had to text her and say,
You're supposed to end at 6.
Running a bit late tonight.
And if you know us, we do not end on time.
This fly is from Mike Klein. He even attached his business card, folks.
Oh.
Mike Klein hails from Bozeman, Montana. All right. Tell us a little bit about your fly. See the attachment. Okay, Fire Tiger Spoonfly and Crawdillo. The Fire Tiger Spoonfly and Crawdillo were inspired by the patterns of Stephen and Ellen Coolcock of SiteCastingFlyFishing.com. SiteCastingFishing.com, a South Texas outfit. They designed a spoonfly pattern they named the Shrimpadillo for targeting redfish along the Gulf Coast. They also carry a unique variety of materials to tie spoonfly type patterns. Spoonfly type patterns have proven successful on a wide variety of freshwater and saltwater targets. The 2 patterns are freshwater adaptations of the Sightcast spoonfly patterns. All right, so the first one is Fire Tiger Spoonfly. Hook, SC Spoonfly number 1. Thread, mono. Tail, chartreuse, marabou. Bucktail and marsh legs. Body, chartreuse, braid. Spoon, chartreuse and orange. Marker enhanced. SC spoon fly cutouts. Sexy.
I have
Pretty sexy.
seen these on the internets. I have never seen one in person.
I have a couple spoonflies.
Spoon plug-in with Buck Perry. That's the OG. That was the OG. It's got to work.
Oh, it works. It works. I mean, yeah. These are great little spoonflies.
The second fly, the Crawdillo, is a little bit more elaborate. The hook is the SC Spoonfly number 1, thread mono, but this one has claws, cinnamon zonked pine squirrel. It also has eyes, blue easy shrimp eyes, and it has an antenna, ocean rainbow crystal flash, legs, marsh legs. Body is gold braid, And spoon is bronze and copper SC spoon fly cutouts. Please note, these can be weighted with dumbbell eyes or lead-free wire if desired. Wow. What a thorough write-up.
I'll let you fondle.
Thanks, Mike.
Gabe, first reactions?
We brought this.
Yeah, I mean, first reaction is like, that's a spoon fly. They're tied well. If you've never fished a spoon fly, it's like fishing a spoon. I mean, they do the thing, and the smallmouth love them. Redfish love them. I mean, really any fish loves them. I've got a few in my box that I've fished before, and yeah, it was like, for me, it was like, ooh, this is like, these maybe work too good, and like, it almost feels like it's like, and I don't even want to say this out loud because it's not actually what I believe, but a little bit of my like purist fly angler was like, is this fly fishing?
Why does this work so well?
Yeah, like, why am I not just using a spoon too? Like, but
it's it created a spoon fly too well that you're kind of like, fuck.
Yeah. It just they work really well. They have like that thing for smallmouth. Oh man, they're gonna crush that thing. I mean, I'd have to see how it swims. The actual spoon part is done a little bit differently than I've seen. The spoon flies I got from Umpqua, and they actually have some. It might be this material, but there's mylar tubing over the top of it. You can't really see what's in there. But if you basically the way you fish them is you like strip them on a floating line. They'll pop up and then they'll wobble,
flutter down, or something.
And then every time you strip it, it like wobbles,
or like long poles.
And they just kind of wobble.
So you don't get the full like swingy that you would on like a normal. But it's close.
I mean, they're cool little flies. I'd happily fish one of these for smallmouth and see what eats it.
Instant gut check, Joshua.
Absolutely sick. Someone call the vet because these puppies are sick.
Technique and materials. Yeah. I mean, like, mad props for, I think, and as Mike acknowledges, this isn't full original. He says we're inspired by the patterns of Stephen and Alan Kolkak of Sightcast Fishing. So shout out to those guys for kind of laying the foundation. Yeah. But I think these are rad adaptations. I always love people doing weird shit. I know. And like the fact that it kind of, it bumps up against what Gabe was talking about, like the purist thing. I think it's kind of like,
that's what I'm all about.
Yeah,
right now. So for me to like
cool
say that is like,
but I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
like, am I supposed to like this or hate this? I'm confused.
Yeah. And my initial gut too is just like, I don't have enough experience with them to really give it a true critique. Like, you show me a bucktail musky fly, I feel like I can tell you exactly what it's going to do.
Fair, like the weight distribution. I don't really know.
That's what I do. Yeah. So this, for me, it's like, if I was really into spoon flies, I might be like, well, that bucktail's too long. The marabou's going to impede but I don't know.
But it sounds like we're going to fish them. We're excited about that.
Yeah.
Bam Bam seems extra excited. Do you want to show off the crawfish one? I showed the fire.
I showed that one to the camera.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, with gravy. I don't know. Like, if I did see these at the shop, I would be like really skeptical.
I would be too. I would think they are gimmick.
I don't know.
But then I would need someone like Gabe to be like, oh,
no, you
dude, they're bugs.
It's like I feel like they remind, well, not those flies, but like it's sort of like Krelex flies too, which is just a Clouser minnow tied out of Krelex flash. And when you initially look at them in the bin, you're just like, what is that? And then you put it on, and it's like, okay, this is cheating. Like they're incredible flies. Those Krelex Clouser minnows destroy fish of any kind, saltwater, freshwater, it doesn't matter.
Any changes, gentlemen? Kind of to your point, you don't know.
It's out of my. I will be honest. This is out of my wheelhouse.
I appreciate the honesty, Gabriel.
And I haven't tied them, and I haven't fished them enough to know.
Yeah, same with me. Resonate that. Zero expertise with these flies.
Yeah, I don't.
They're funky. They look like an alien spaceship, but I'm very intrigued.
Yeah.
And I think I'm with Gabe. I don't know anything about spoon flies, but like just in general, it feels like it's not too heavy. Like what I know about flies, it should do what a spoon fly or spoon does.
Yes, it looks good to me.
I think my one change is then just to send me a musky version.
Heck yeah.
Give me that big one, baby.
What are the Jack of Diamonds?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big yellow and red one.
All right. Moment of truth.
I got to say Hall of Fame.
Yep. Hall of Fame for me for funkiness level.
And again, same as the last one. That could easily go to Hall of Shame after we fish them, and we're like, they just spin or they.
It
twist
definitely
up my
won't go to Hall of Shame if it works too well.
Yes,
we will not.
Yeah.
If we will be. Yeah. I'm with you guys. I don't have any reason to give it a Hall of Shame.
I think they're tied.
Prevent
well.
it.
I think they're the right colors and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I would say fire away.
2 for 3. Mike Klein, unanimous vote. Thank you for your submission, Mike. This is awesome. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
2 more, guys.
Again, I still feel bad about what I said about
Christian, you're
fly,
full of regret.
Again, I apologize, Christian. I love you, and thank you for submitting the fly.
We are genuine Midwesterners.
Gabe's turn.
My turn. Yeah, I mean, let's pop her open.
Dun, dun, dun. You can hand the paper off to one of us.
Oh,
We got a musky fly. All right, who we got? A Fleur. He crossed out fly roast and wrote Fleur roast.
The Fleur roast.
And we got a whole letter. All right, so the submission is from Dominic Singh from Washington. This is Dom's Royal Orba. And we have a letter. Hello from the Pacific Northwest Musky Fool. This is an original pattern that I developed over the past several years for tiger muskies stocked in a handful of very deep, clear lakes in the Northwest. The design is based on the Bondi Orba lure. There you go. I haven't fished a Bondi in a while. Featuring 2 small blades on a 3-way swivel that spin effortlessly with minimal drag and continue to spin as the fly sinks without fouling. The use of mismatched blade sizes allows for them to clink together occasionally. Love that. Adding a random aspect to the subtle sound that this fly produces as it is retrieved. This one hook version is completely weedless, though a front jig hook can be used as well on larger versions, or to give Dan more confidence in hookup ratio. Someone's been listening to my misgivings about the weedless flies. Hope that it produces for you guys out in the Midwest way, if anyone is brave enough to fish it this season, and encourages tires to think outside of the box. Thank you for advocating for anglers to be educated and involved in local conservation efforts. Dom, thank you. This is awesome. Materials used: harness, owner oversized worm hook, 11-aught, 0.51 wire, heat shrink tubing, body tail, the Holy Trinity, bucktail feathers flash, SF fiber, laser dub, and the blades, 3-way swivel, Colorado blade number 1 and number 2, split rings, cross lock, snap, heat shrink tubing, finishing it off with extra large dumbbell eyes and the large fish skull mask. You're silent over there.
First
Gabe.
reaction is
He's
like
speechless.
I mean, it's odd. It's rad.
It's a Fleur.
Yeah, it's a Fleur. Yeah, like I'm wondering. It's pretty heavy, so I'm wondering if when he says Fleur, if he means like it's a fly that you cast on a conventional rod or vice versa.
He says, yeah, he doesn't say stripped, so it's possible that there's overlap.
Because that's heavy, and when that thing gets wet. Yeah,
extra heavy.
That's a two-hander fly. Yeah.
Or for all you heathens out there that want to cast flies on bait casters, it's perfect. Let me see that fucking thing.
I mean, I think it's really cool. Again, it's innovative and it's pushing the envelope.
I love this. This is like why we wanted to do the fly roast, because there's so much crazy weird shit being done.
And it sounds like it's a tried and true pattern that
he's used it. Yeah.
He's used it and caught a ton of fish on.
So I'd be curious, what was his Dom? Dom, let us know. Have you had issues with losing fish on it? That's my first question. Because I don't like really long shanks on hooks, because that fish, if it rolls,
leverage,
it'll get leverage and it'll pop that hook out. And muskies roll. That's their, they do the gator roll thing. So,
but I did like that he's got like it's not got that. The GB Predator has that like problem where like the pointy thing is like in the way.
Yeah,
this is you'll hook them. You're saying will you stay hooked?
Will they stay hooked? Yeah, and so the one thing that I think will be cool to play around with is keeping it with maybe a different hook or smaller version of that hook, and then shrink tubing it to that front shank of sorts, so that back hook can have a little bit more play when you hook a fish and it can actually rotate. It's like he's got that, but it really doesn't want to like move. I can't really bend it. So it's to sort of defeating the purpose. If you could shrink tube it so that that hook like can bend 90 degrees in any direction, then when a fish rolls, that hook will roll with the fish. That's my initial gut. Everything else,
I like the, like, he's obviously counteracting, like it's got some buoyancy, but then he's kind of like weight balancing with the front weight and the upturned eye. I will say I've never seen a fly tied with a 3-way split with 2 little jingle bells off the back.
And they're different. Cool. I mean, the whole like
he also like he's used really stiff stems. You can feel it to like prop all this up. Like it literally is like you can feel the stiffness in there. I just love people that just fucking ignore all the rules.
Yeah.
And they just do, like, you know, I envisioned that there was like, he was going for something. He heard about dudes catching him on Bondi Orbas. And he's like,
how do I make a fly?
How do I make a fly? I love it.
Yep.
So first gut check is impressed.
Yep.
It's wild. We love wild and crazy shit. This is not the fly roast for the purists.
I'm also noticing some feathers in there that you got. Those are some pretty special schlappen feathers. Like, what is that?
You know,
Natural whiting schlappen.
You know what they remind me of?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you happen to get those from?
I think I know. Yeah. Tell us where you got your feathers from.
Yeah.
Those are like, bleached grizzly.
Bleach grizzly from the old,
the old stash of BB. Yeah. Love-hate relationship with those feathers. Yeah. Still have them. Still have some of them.
And I kind of love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I can tell this is the Musky Fool. That looks like
That's
the Musky Fool custom.
Orange.
Yep.
Super creative fly.
And that looks like our bucktail colors too. And
yeah, for the most part,
there's like a sea foam or something in there that might be their old color for me or
grizzly. I love it.
From a technical standpoint, it's pretty much flawless.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Gabe said is a good point. Like, he'd be curious on how
for sure.
That'd be my one critique of it is like, and that's why I asked you, Dom. Like, maybe that's designed on purpose because you're ripping it through weeds and it's got to stay weedless, and that's losing a couple fish is the sacrifice you have to make to even hook them in the first place. So,
yeah. And he did say this is the single hook version, which implies that there might be
a double.
Yeah, I also want to know how he tied the shank on, to your point, but there's no articulation.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like, it feels stiff.
It feels like he like tightened it up together with a wire
and then shrink tubed
over it. And that's why you can bend it a little bit. Not a lot. So
good. Like technique and materials, where and how. For me, this is like the lakes. Like this is where I'm not surprised you're fishing this on a lake, because this is, I think the lake guys that fish on lakes are the ones who first go do weird shit.
Totally.
Because I'm not trying to say rivers are easy. You and I have this conversation all the time, but like, I just don't feel like if you fish rivers, you'd be drawn to have to do this.
Yeah. No, I totally.
The river fish, the shallower, we're not fishing deep. We're not fishing fucking bondies on rivers for the most part. So
unless there's a really big river. Susquehanna or something.
So I was picturing like, this is for the big waters, the big lakes.
Yeah.
Two-hander.
Yeah.
I wish we had this at Cave Run, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know that it would have mattered, but it would have been fun.
I would have had a slight bit
more confidence. Well, there you go. Sure. There you go. That's a Hall of Fame statement if I've ever heard one right there.
Yeah, I think it's rad.
All right, Josh, you lead us off with the first vote on this one.
I'm giving her the Hall of Fame, baby.
Hall of Fame. I'll go second. I'm Hall of Fame. It speaks to all of the things. Like I want to fish it.
Hall of Fame for me too.
But it could
go off into the Hall of Shame. But it's also like give us some reasoning for why you design it that way. Because
I love that in this episode we've also now created a new rule, which is that you have to defend yourself after the episode. Like, you might tell us.
I don't know. I kind of want to hear it. Yeah, like
what were you up to? What were you up to? But I love the like written notes where they're explaining it.
Yeah, because I think there's something to that. Like, if you can do something that looks stupid and explain to me why it's good and prove
no longer stupid,
then it's no longer stupid.
Agreed.
All right, last one, folks.
Josh is fired up. We often talk about the difference between Josh and Bam Bam. I would say we have Bam Bam with us today, Bam. Folks. I love it.
I'm going to go streaking to the quad later.
just love
There was
that
actually
you
a guy-
trashed the first fly, and then within 30 seconds, we're like, I'm sorry. I love you. I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
mean it.
I'm so
But
sorry.
You just came
I'm
out
sorry.
fucking like, this fly fucking sucks. You want me to read?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Blake Martin
Ooh, baby.
from Billings, Montana. Lost Creek Adventures on Instagram. I know that guy. I love it. This is the Lava Hound Glider. MF Bucktail Schlappen, Hairline Flash, Gamakatsu 4-aught, and a big game shank. Monster shank. With this fly, I was shooting for something a little more low profile while also trying to keep good contrast with specific hot spots in the tail and back. Happy to hear what you guys say. You guys got an MFer for life. Blake, you're the man. Thank you, buddy.
Blake.
Good rule of thumb, if you guys want a fast track to a Bam Bam vote, black and orange is a good way to go.
Black and orange is a good way to go. You guys start.
I'll hold it. I'll run it to the camera quick.
Eat me. Eat me. I'm so hungry.
There's the profile, folks. Got some flexing going on these side hackles here. All right.
Let me see that fucker.
Daniel,
What's your first reaction, Josh?
first impressions? Yeah, looks like a pretty sexy, standard, awesome musky fly that is going to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too innovative about it. It seems to be tied pretty well, especially coming from a Montana guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a lot bigger than the Purple Haze Parachute Adams you got to fish out there.
Yeah, I didn't know trout would eat this out there, but must be for bull trout.
Yeah.
I think I'm with you. Like first reactions, love musky flies. I like the. It's very difficult to tie a good musky fly with the color contrast vertically. Done it before, and it's a pain in the ass.
Yep.
So like props.
Especially in glider.
Oh God, yes, especially a glider, and you want those lines to be clean, and it's very hard. So I appreciate that. Yeah, that's my first reaction. Absolutely gonna fish and get hossed. I think technique and materials. You're talking to people that live by hair feather flash, so you hit the holy trinity, as Dom so eloquently called it on the last one. I guess I'm just going into all my thoughts on this. So like where did I think of fishing it? I mean, this looks like a staple kind of size, profile, color for all sorts of shit that we fish.
Muskies swim.
Yeah, especially if it's in northern Wisconsin and rhymes with Hambo or Hippewa. That thing is
Lambo.
Or
a couple changes that I would propose.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Gabe's just jizzing out right here.
My immediate reaction was I am not super satisfied with the hook. You have a really small hook and then no split ring hook.
No, there's no split ring hook. There is a dropper loop.
Oh, he used the split ring shank.
Yes.
Okay.
Which you can barely get to.
Okay.
Yep.
So you can add another hook there.
You could squeeze a split ring into there, but it's very hard to get to. It's a little crowded with thread or something.
Yep. So it was the two things actually were that back hook, like just put a 6-aught on there, put a B10S, put a PR320, like just something with a little bit more hook gap, because that thing, it's gonna poke them, but I think you'll probably catch more, land more with the bigger hook. Not too big, but a little bit bigger. And then if you look at it head on, just overall, you're a good tire. You got the skills. You put together a fishy pattern. And I'm saying this as someone who makes the same mistake. I lose steam during the most important part of the fly, which for those gliders to me is that first 1 or 2 inches off the hook eye.
Up here.
Yeah. And like you can kind of just, I do it too. I lose steam.
Yeah.
I lose steam there and I kind of like fuck them up. And there's the proportions are a little off.
Yeah.
If you stare at it straight on,
I can tell you right
it'll
now
lean left.
that this one is one that will need to be tuned pretty heavily to get it to glide.
Yeah, you're going to need to arc that shape.
You're going to need to really arc the heck out of that to get it to turn.
Can you show us? Just tune it the way you want to.
So when I tune gliders, I basically take the back shank and the eye of the shank up here. Dropper loop is straight underneath, and I just bend and arch into it. So it shouldn't be too drastic. That might have been a little overkill.
It kind of looks like that.
Almost like a Sid.
Yeah, and you can't really tell. Like this fly still looks the same. If I were to hold it up to the camera, you couldn't tell. But that little arch there just gets them to turn a lot better. And sometimes what I'll do too, if that's not enough, I'll just grab it by the loop and just
Point that head down.
a little bit, and that can really get them to go.
And then like you swim it and then you tweak it, and because it might do the thing where it glides, but it only goes like this way.
Yeah,
and then you got to kind of tweak it back.
I think personally, a well-tied glider right when it comes off the vise
doesn't need to do anything.
Will start to glide a little bit, and then you give it that little bit of tweak, and then it's just like zoom, 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 perfect every time.
And that's, I think we talked about this earlier today. What is the nuance of like a fly that glides versus a glider? And to me, and you said it too this morning, it's like a lot of flies you can get to glide, but it like you got to like get the perfect amount of slack, and you really got to like pop them and pop them, and even maybe like like jerk strip.
You have to learn how to fish it.
Yeah, a true glider, as you said, and I agree with, tap. You strip that
You
line.
almost can't do it wrong. You just pull
It only will glide.
Yeah.
And it glides without you. It glides with slack. It glides with a tight line. It's swimming downstream, upstream. It glides.
And for me, the way that you accomplish that, I think you could go with a little bit more buoyancy in the core. And you want that buoyancy to get bigger as you're going to the front. It looks like it feels really, really dense in the back. And then as I get forward,
that's losing the steam.
It feels like it's just a little bit like loose up there.
And if anything, you'd want those reversed.
You want that reverse. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my critique too. The fibers in the back look damn near the same size.
That's where I felt like it was like I've done that before, where I lose steam. And then
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think the way I do that is I use, mostly Clouser grade bucktail. If I'm trying a really big one, I'll do A in the front. But if I take that, a 3.5 inch long fiber, all I'm doing is tying in with more butt ends sticking back out every time. And that actually accomplishes your taper too, because you get shorter butt ends, but they stick straighter up. So you get this density up front and density in the core. And one thing I'll do is like every stack I do, I try to just grab like 4 more strands of bucktail. So my stacks in the back are thinner than when I get to the front. Like in the back of that shank, I might have, a half a pencil. By the time I get to the front of the shank, I've got a pencil's worth of bucktail. And you just gradually get bigger all the way up.
Yep.
And that really gets them to
exactly. Before we get into moment of truth, any other thoughts, gentlemen? I think we nailed it. We're all in alignment.
Love the colors. I would happily fish that fly.
It's good. This is, I think, what's like the disclaimer, but it's also like the beauty of this whole thing and fly tying. Like we copied this from Kill Tony.
Yeah.
Where comedy and fly tying differ is that it's pretty clear when you're not funny.
Yeah.
You're either funny or you're not funny.
Yeah.
And you might think it's funny and I might think it's not funny, but it's like you're either funny or you're not funny.
Totally.
We could all hate this fly and it doesn't matter because the final judge is not us.
Fish.
It's the fish.
Yes.
So I think I say that to kind of a little CYA on our part because we're already uncomfortable with being a little bit more harsh than we have been previously. But yeah, generally, like, fuck, our opinions mean jack shit.
Yeah.
This is just for fun.
Yep.
This fly is going to get eaten by muskies.
I think the problem I'm feeling is I like gliders. When it comes to musky fishing, if you ever fish with me, pretty rare that I fish or tie anything except gliders. Like I consider myself a glider guy. And so if that wasn't a glider and that was just like a double Buford, I'd be like, hell yeah. But it's a glider and I'm pretty fucking particular about my gliders. So that's why I'm just like,
we might
not
be,
up to my standards.
You might be unearthing as this develops and more people submit. There's going to be like strategies.
Yeah.
And I think what you just unearthed is like, it may be more difficult to get on the Wall of Fame with a musky glider, which you think you're playing to the fans. Yeah. But all of a sudden we're going to be just more critical about it.
Yeah. Cause we
like, look at the spoon flies.
That's what we fish.
I don't know. It looks good.
Cool. All right, yeah. I'll fish it. Yeah.
So if you submit a dry fly, it's like an automatic.
So
all right. Well, I will lead it off. It's so close. It doesn't make it to Wall of Fame for me, but it may progress there eventually.
Yep. It doesn't make it for me. I think it's an incredible tie. I give mad props for the split colors, the black on top, orange on the bottom.
Yep.
It's well executed. I like the guinea feathers. I like everything about it except for the fact that I only fish gliders and I know that one's not going to glide well.
I think that's the perfect way to say it, is like, you're just, this is your shit.
Yeah.
You know, you're asking.
You kind of asked the wrong guy.
You asked the wrong guy. Blake, we greatly appreciate you, fella.
I'm going to give you a Wall of Fame, Blake. Fuck him.
Fuck you, baby. He comes out swinging, and then, this is amazing. This is my favorite fly roast yet. Thank you for joining us, Gabe. Bam, as always.
Thank you, Gabe.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the flies, guys. This is super awesome.
Do we want to end? Do we have a quick tip on the not yet sponsored by Quick Tips Quick Trip segment?
Yeah.
Gabe, we're looking at you.
A quick tip, folks.
Yeah, quick tip. Just because we're doing fly tying, we didn't talk a lot of actual fishing in this one. I wanted to give a little tying tip, which I think a couple of our fly roasters could use. And actually, this is not my tip. I don't want to take credit for it. I learned this from Haas, Nick Gellerstedt, our head guide. Curved scissors, the Dr. Slick curved hair scissors. If you buy a pair of those and trim your Buford or your spun hair heads with those, it will change the game for you and they will look professional every time.
Mm-hmm. And Nick, like, I'd listen to Nick on that because I've seen every single one of his fucking gliders and they are all the same.
Yep. And so what you can do is like leave that fly in the vise. And if you have a rotary vise, which I hope you do, you can spin that. And I will seat my elbow on my tying chair or on my desk. And I hold those scissors in the same place. And I just spin that rotary. And because they're curved, you get that perfect little dome head, and it looks beautiful.
Instead of mine that have like sharp edge.
Yeah, because when you do it with the straight scissors, you kind of have to like trim it, and then all of a sudden you get done, and it's like half the top is trimmed down too low and the bottom's done. So leave it in the vise, curved scissors, perfect. Takes 7 seconds.
Great quick tip.
Great quick tip.
So,
what's your favorite? What's your go-to at Quick Trip?
Ooh, corn dog.
Corn dog, you heard it here. We talked about how good. Are you a tornado lover or?
I don't do the roller grill stuff. I worked at Quick Trip for a winter and on the off season of guiding, and
you saw how the sausage is made.
Sometimes we forgot to take them off the roller when they were supposed to, and they hung out for a few extra hours.
As noted, this is not sponsored by Quick Trip, so we can say whatever the fuck we want.
I was in the kitchen, so that was a totally me thing, but yeah, I've been to some Quick Trips, and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah. You were the one that told me the little hack to like check the number on the thing, and that is when you're supposed to take it off.
That is the time it needs to come off. So you look for the number farthest in time. This is probably not a good way to get sponsored by Quick Trip, but
it's okay. We told them we're not going to lie. So,
but yeah, grab the ones at the back. They'll usually have a sticker with a later time frame. That means they're fresher.
You heard it here.
Quick tip.
Take it home, bam.
Double quick tip. All right, thanks for listening to another episode of the Spotburn Podcast. We love you guys, especially you, Christian. Talk to you soon. Peace. Thanks for tuning in to the Spotburn Podcast, brought to you by Musky Fool Fly Fishing Co. We're stoked to have you along for the ride. If you're fired up about the show and want to keep it blazing, share it with a friend. And don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Got a spark of inspiration, feedback, or just want to fan the flames of conversation? Head on over to muskyfool.com. We'd love to hear from you. Keep on burning and catch you on the water, y'all.